Spaceballs 2 just got confirmed for 2027. Mel Brooks at 99 years old is coming back. Rick Moranis broke a 30-year retirement for it. The galaxy that flopped in 1987 somehow became immortal. But here's what nobody tells you about the original. Behind every joke was blood, burns, and chaos that made the movie itself look tame. These are the facts that didn't make it into the behind-the-scenes specials. Number 1. Pizza the Hut wasn't just gross on screen, it was torture to create. Mel Brooks wanted the character to look disturbingly real, so his effects team built a costume using hot, artificial melted cheese and actual pancake batter for the dripping effect. Real pepperoni, real olives, real mushrooms, everything edible glued to a 25-pound pyramid of horror. The actor wearing it, Richard Caron, lasted exactly one shoot. The cheese burned him. Second and third degree burns from bubbling synthetic dairy dripping down his skin inside the suit. It took 2 hours to put the thing on, with garden hoses feeding pancake batter up his back, attached to a bicycle helmet crushing his neck. Caron could barely breathe, couldn't move his head, and felt every drop of hot liquid seeping through the layers. When Brooks asked him to come back for reshoots, Caron said one word: no. He quit the production entirely. So they needed someone desperate enough to climb into a pizza prison. Rick Lazzarini, the puppeteer working on John Candy's mechanical ears, made the mistake of saying he liked wearing costumes. Brooks pointed at him. "Your pizza." Lazzarini spent the reshoot with his chin glued to a prosthetic tongue, eyes blacked out, barely able to see, feeling the weight of 10 neck braces pulling him down while batter oozed through tubes. He described it as wearing 15 neck braces simultaneously while being slowly drowned in pancake mix. Dom DeLuise voiced the character from a safe distance in a recording booth, refusing to go anywhere near the suit. Smart man. Number 2. Rick Moranis gave Dark Helmet his most iconic moment by accident. The scene where Helmet plays with Spaceballs action figures, smashing them together and yelling, "Your helmet is so big," wasn't in the script. Brooks walked onto set one day, saw Moranis standing around, and pitched the idea on the spot. Go improvise something with these toys. Moranis was running a fever that day, feeling awful, barely functioning. But somehow the sickness made him funnier. He grabbed the toys and started riffing, creating one of the most quoted scenes in the movie while his body was shutting down. The kind of magic that only happens when a professional comedian is too sick to overthink. What makes it even better is that Moranis disappeared for decades after this. He walked away from Hollywood in the late 90s to raise his kids after his wife's death, turning down role after role, interview after interview. Ghostbusters 3 offers, Honey, I Shrunk sequel pitches, reunion specials. He said no to everything. For 30 years he stayed silent. Fans assumed he'd never return, but when Spaceballs 2 came calling in 2024, he said yes. At 72 years old, Moranis is putting the helmet back on. The sequel that was always a joke is the movie that brought him back. And that's not just nostalgia, that's proof that Spaceballs meant something more than people realized. Number 3. Mel Brooks suffered more than anyone realizes playing Yogurt. The gold makeup covering his face and neck gave him a severe rash that lasted weeks. Every take was agony. His skin burned, itched, and peeled under the paint. The production had to halt multiple times so medical staff could treat his face, but the real pain came from his knees. Yogurt is short, so Brooks shot every scene walking on his knees. Even with thick knee pads, the constant pressure destroyed him. He filmed Yogurt scenes out of sequence just to survive the physical torture. Some days he couldn't walk after filming. The crew had to help him up. And here's the part that stings. Brooks originally wrote the role for Gene Wilder, his comedy soulmate from Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. The two had created some of the greatest comedy moments in film history together. But by the mid-'80s, Wilder had quietly stepped away from their partnership, chasing his own projects, slowing down his workload. Brooks joked that Wilder abandoned him, always with affection, never with bitterness. But the message was clear. Their duo was over. The partnership that defined an era had ended. So Brooks painted himself gold and played the role, meant for his friend. It wasn't bitterness, it was tribute. Every painful moment on his knees was Brooks honoring a partnership that had ended. Yogurt became iconic not because it replaced Wilder, but because Brooks poured everything into a character built for someone he missed. Number 4. The set itself had ghosts. Spaceballs was filmed on the same MGM soundstage as The Wizard of Oz from 1939. The crew kept finding pieces of the yellow brick road scattered around, forgotten relics from Dorothy's journey 50 years earlier. Production assistants would stumble across painted bricks in storage closets, under equipment wedged behind old set pieces. Beneath their feet, hidden under retractable flooring, sat a massive pool built for Esther Williams' swimming films in the 1940s. Brooks and his team were shooting a space parody on top of Hollywood history, literally walking over the bones of classic cinema. But Brooks made a calculated move to protect himself. He paid Lucasfilm nearly $5 million to handle all the post-production work, visual effects, sound design, color correction, everything farmed out to George Lucas's ranch in San Francisco. It was brilliant strategy. Lucas couldn't sue him if Lucas's own team was making the movie look good. You can't complain about a parody when you're getting paid millions to polish it, and Lucas loved it. He sent Brooks a handwritten note after seeing the film, saying he laughed so hard he almost busted something. The director of Star Wars gave his blessing to the movie, mocking his empire, and even helped make it beautiful. That's why Spaceballs doesn't look cheap. Lucas's effects team made sure the parody could stand next to the real thing. Number 5. There's a blink-and-miss-it moment that proves how much Brooks respected Star Wars. In the exterior shot of the space diner, where Lone Star and Barf stop for food, you can see a familiar ship parked in the lot, the Millennium Falcon. Han Solo's ship is just sitting there among the other vehicles, a quiet Easter egg Brooks snuck in as a love letter to the franchise. Most people never noticed it in 1987, but it's there. A reminder that Spaceballs wasn't tearing down Star Wars, it was celebrating it. Number 6. The only piece of Spaceballs merchandise that ever existed is locked away in someone's house. Max Brooks, Mel's son, owns the original yogurt doll used in the merchandising scene. The one yogurt holds up while screaming about lunchboxes and flamethrowers. Max revealed in 2023 that he's kept it all these years, preserved like a museum piece, the single surviving relic of the toys George Lucas banned. The agreement between Brooks and Lucas was ironclad. No action figures, no merchandise, nothing that could compete with Star Wars products on store shelves. Lucas's lawyers were clear. Your characters look too much like ours. Kids will get confused. Brooks honored the deal completely, but that didn't stop him from building fake products for the movie, turning the restriction into the funniest joke in the film. Every ridiculous item yogurt shows off was Brooks's way of saying what he couldn't actually sell. And decades later, Max Brooks became a sci-fi legend himself. His novel World War Z, about a global zombie apocalypse told through survivor interviews, got adapted into a massive Brad Pitt film in 2013. The kid who inspired his dad to make Spaceballs by loving Star Wars at age 10 grew up and built his own apocalyptic universe. The merchandising ban couldn't stop the Brooks family from conquering sci-fi. They just did it a different way. Number 7. Spaceballs 2 is loading up with legacy. Bill Pullman is returning as Lone Star, and his son Louis Pullman is joining the cast as a character named Starburst, father and son playing space heroes across generations. Josh Gad is writing and starring, Keke Palmer is locked in for something major, Anthony Carrigan signed on, and George Weiner, the actor who played Colonel Sanders in the original, is back after 38 years. Daphne Zuniga is returning as Princess Vespa, now Queen Vespa. The gang that crashed in the desert is coming back older, weirder, and somehow still alive. Number 8. The movie that critics dismissed is now part of the culture. Tesla named their car acceleration modes Ludicrous Mode and Plaid Mode directly from Spaceballs. Elon Musk is a fan. The speeds that were a joke in 1987 are now how people describe their electric cars. Disney used a Spaceballs clip in the marketing for Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, acknowledging the parody as part of Star Wars history. The joke outlived the empire it mocked. Number 9. The entire production was a gamble that almost didn't happen. Brooks's working budget hit $22 million, the biggest production of his entire career by far. Nearly $5 million went to post-production alone. For a director famous for scrappy, low-budget comedies, shot fast and cheap, this was terrifying. Every day of shooting burned cash faster than he'd ever experienced. Sets stretched across entire sound stages. The costume department scrambled to build armor, uniforms, that monstrous dark helmet rig. The opening shot, that endless spaceship crawling across the screen for a full minute, cost a fortune in model work and compositing. The joke required commitment. If the ship didn't feel genuinely massive, the punchline wouldn't land. But Brooks understood something critics missed. If the parody looked cheap, the joke wouldn't work. It had to feel big to mock big. The gamble paid off. Spaceballs made $40 million at the box office against that $22 million budget. Not a smash by summer blockbuster standards, but solidly profitable. And then VHS changed everything. The movie that was fine in theaters became unstoppable at home. Number 10, the theatrical run was soft. Critics shrugged, reviews were mixed at best. Summer 1987 belonged to real sci-fi spectacles, and a goofy spoof felt out of step. The movie opened behind Dragnet, not exactly the launch Brooks wanted. But once it hit video stores, Spaceballs exploded. Rentals went absolutely insane. Cable channels played it on repeat. HBO ran it so many times people started timing their days around it. College dorms adopted it as scripture. Quotes became passwords. Kids memorized every line, every dark helmet meltdown, every yogurt sales pitch. Lone Star and Barf became midnight companions. The movie that barely mattered in theaters became a cultural phenomenon in living rooms. By the 1990s, it wasn't just a cult classic, it was a rite of passage. If you didn't know Spaceballs, you weren't part of the conversation. VHS saved it. Home video turned a modest theatrical performer into an immortal comedy. The same thing happened to The Princess Bride, Clue, and Office Space. Some movies aren't built for opening weekend, they're built to live forever on rewind. Number 11. John Candy's barf costume was an engineering nightmare that required 3 people to operate. Brooks wanted Candy's face visible so they couldn't use a full dog mask. MGM refused to hide one of their biggest stars behind prosthetics. Instead, they built a hybrid rig, giant animatronic ears that twitched and flopped, a mechanical tail that wagged on command, and a 30-pound battery pack strapped to Candy's back like sci-fi camping gear. 3 puppeteers hid just off camera. One controlled the ears, one handled the tail, one monitored the battery so it wouldn't overheat and burn Candy alive. Candy had to sync his performance to their movements. Smile when the ears perk up, turn when the tail wags, react when the tail moves, all while delivering his lines with perfect timing and that trademark Candy sweetness. One running gag became legendary by accident. Barf's tail kept smacking Bill Pullman in the face during takes. Completely unscripted. The puppeteer couldn't see Pullman standing there, so the tail just whipped around and slapped him mid-scene. Over and over, Pullman's reactions were real. Surprise, irritation, confusion, all genuine. Brooks kept every take because the chaos was funnier than anything they could script. That's the Brooks philosophy. If reality is funnier than fiction, use reality. Barf wasn't just a costume. He was a 4-person operation running on Candy's back, and Candy made it look effortless. That's why Barf works. You forget there's a small army making him move. Number 12. Daphne Zuniga almost turned down the role of Princess Vespa. She wasn't a Mel Brooks fan, didn't love broad parody, found Brooks himself too loud and chaotic in early meetings. She worried Vespa would be a joke instead of a character. But once she stepped on set, everything changed. Brooks wasn't loud, he was passionate, and he made sure Vespa had real emotional beats underneath the comedy. By the end of shooting, Zuniga trusted him completely, so much that when Brooks produced The Fly 2 a year later, she worked with him again without hesitation. Number 13. John Hurt's cameo is one of the sharpest jokes in movie history. Hurt showed up expecting a quick wink at Alien, his iconic chest-burster horror film from 1979. But Brooks had planned a full beat-for-beat parody. Hurt walked into the space diner, sat down, ordered food, and suddenly an alien exploded out of his stomach. Hurt improvised the greatest line of the scene. "Oh no, not again." 3 words that turned a visual gag into a meta-commentary on Hollywood recycling the same scares. Hurt flew in for 1 day of shooting as a favor to Brooks. they'd become friends on The Elephant Man, which Brooks produced in 1980. Number 14. The desert scenes were hell. Brooks wanted to shoot on real sand to capture the Tatooine vibe from Star Wars, so the crew headed to Yuma, Arizona in late October 1986. They expected cool fall weather. Desert in autumn should be bearable. Instead, they hit record-breaking heat. Yuma registered the highest temperatures in the entire country that week, over 100 degrees. Cast and crew in heavy costumes, melting under the sun, trying to make jokes while sweating through their clothes. Makeup running, costumes soaked, everyone miserable. Extras were recruited from a nearby Marine base to play Dark Helmet's Spaceball troops. Soldiers who thought they'd have a fun day on a movie set instead found themselves standing in the desert heat wearing plastic armor, wondering how this became their day. Brooks had to shoot fast before anyone collapsed from heat stroke. And then there were the footprints. Every take left tracks all over the sand. Crew members, actors, horses from the Planet of the Apes parody scene, all leaving trails that had to be erased before the next shot. Just like the crew on the original Star Wars faced in Tunisia, Brooks's team spent hours raking sand smooth between takes. Some fans think the visible footprints in the final film are mistakes, but others believe Brooks left them in as a joke, a reference to the same goof in Planet of the Apes. Either way, the desert fought back, and won. Number 15. Brooks had a clause in his agreement with George Lucas that became comedy gold. No merchandise. Lucas feared kids would confuse Spaceballs toys with real Star Wars products on store shelves, so he demanded 0 action figures, 0 lunchboxes, 0 anything. Brooks agreed. Then he built the entire yogurt merchandising scene around that restriction. Spaceballs the flamethrower. The kids love this one. Every fake product was Brooks flipping off the deal he'd signed. Lucas watched the scene and loved it. He told Brooks it was the funniest jab in the movie. A legal restriction turned into a legendary punchline. Number 16. Michael Winslow saved the production thousands of dollars with his voice. Winslow, famous as the sound effects guy from Police Academy, played the radar technician. In most movies, sound effects come later, but Winslow walked onto set and asked Brooks a simple question. "Want me to just do it live?" Brooks waved the crew quiet and let Winslow perform every sound on the radar console in real time. The beeps, the static, the lost signal, the ridiculous "we've been jammed" Raspberry routine. All him, all live. No effects needed. The studio estimated he saved them thousands in audio work. But Brooks loved it for a different reason. It wasn't just efficient. It was magic. Number 17. Spaceballs changed how Hollywood looked at parody. Before it, studios treated sci-fi spoofs as cheap throwaway projects, cardboard sets, borrowed props, budgets measured in thousands instead of millions. Brooks flipped that formula. He gave parody a full Hollywood production. Sprawling sets, practical starships, effects teams that rivaled the real space operas. The gamble worked. Executives realized genre parody didn't have to look cheap to be funny. After Spaceballs, the industry loosened up. Projects like Galaxy Quest, Mars Attacks, and waves of effects-heavy spoofs finally had a lane. Brooks didn't just poke fun at sci-fi. He proved it could laugh at itself and still pack theaters. Spaceballs 2 isn't just a sequel. It's the punchline Mel Brooks set up 40 years ago finally landing. The movie ends with Yogurt telling Lone Star, "God willing, we'll all meet again in Spaceballs 2. The search for more money." For decades, it was the greatest fake sequel ever teased. Fans begged, rumors swirled every few years. Nothing happened. The joke was that it would never happen. Until now. In 2027, at 99 years old, Brooks is making it real. Josh Gad is writing it. Rick Moranis came out of retirement for it. Bill Pullman and his son are both starring in it. The search for more money is actually happening, and this time, the galaxy that was too late in 1987 is perfectly timed for an era drowning in reboots, sequels, and nostalgia. Star Wars has become exactly what Yogurt predicted. An endless merchandising empire with movies, shows, toys, theme parks, hotel experiences, all proving Brooks saw the future. The joke that should have died became immortal. The parody outlived the thing it parodied, and the Schwartz is stronger than ever.